Thank you so much for joining. This is the New Life Wellness Podcast, where we kind of explore different modalities and bring on different experts in their fields who practice these modalities. And today we have Deb with us. Deb, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Deb Caron. I am a yoga teacher, a sound healer, a Reiki master. Really just out here trying to put all the love out into our Phoenix community and do what I can to help people find their own magic again.
Yeah,
Really.
no, I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And I was able to go earlier to one of the studios where you had kind of everything set up. You have a wide variety of different tools that, induce these different like calming effects, whether it's the sound bowls, whether it's a gong, whether it was that cool rain drum or
Mhm.
wave drum.
Mhm.
That thing was awesome.
Love that thing.
Sounding like the ocean's just right there, that even if I was just kind of sitting there and you were showing me, it was kind of lulling me into a relaxation. I was like, all right, this
Yeah.
is really cool. The hand pan as well.
Yep.
And all of your different tools, what kind of got you started with sound healing?
Sound healing in particular.
Or maybe any of the modalities if something came first.
Well, the first thing that really kind of pulled me in was yoga. I mean,
Yoga.
I found yoga at, in my late teens. Happened into a studio where I was walking by a hot studio and it was very cold outside. And I was like, oh, intriguing. I want to see what that's all about. Did Bikram yoga, the 90-minute sequence,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what I was getting into, but I instantly fell in love. And from there, I just, my yoga journey has been lifelong. And that was always, it would ebb and flow. I would go through phases of life where I was just like a snowboard bum for a while and partied and did all and kind of fell off the yoga wagon. And, when life got to be chaos and felt out of control, it was always yoga that kind of brought me back. And so, and what I really loved about yoga was the spiritual practice of it. Not so much the postures. That's cool. I love it because it keeps your body physically strong. But I really loved it for the inward journey. So I did a yoga teacher training. Maybe it was 2016. I can't remember exactly. I've been teaching for 7 or 8 years, something like that. And that kind of led me to discover sound healing, sound, music, all of that stuff has always been just something that really I feel in my body.
Right.
And I played musical instruments a little bit when I was a kid, but I never thought of myself as a musician per se, but really gravitated toward that. And then I think I attended a few sound healings and thought, what is this magical practice? And I just, bought myself a set of bowls. I actually just did an online course. I kind of feel like maybe there should be like a bigger story to that. But, the very first time that I got to offer a sound healing was at a gym that I was teaching yoga at, and like 35, like packed the place, and then they loved it so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just kind of came through me in a way that I thought, I think this is something I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And from there, I just got invited to go do some more at another studio. And I think I just happened into it at a time when it was just starting to be something that came into more people's awareness, and people started showing up, and, some of those events started selling out. People would ask me to book them more often. I got invited to do this at other studios that I teach at, and then just meeting new people and more exposure. And it just keeps growing. And I love it. I love it so much. And I get benefits out of giving it as much as anybody that's on the mat receiving it.
That's so cool. It's cool that that's kind of like the experience that you had with, doors just kind of opening towards an experience. Not even like sometimes we look at ourselves and think like, all right, I'm not an expert at this because I didn't get a license or this or that. But just through the actuality, the following your intuition, by following through with a practice and everybody kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, this is something.
Yeah.
That's all the confirmation you need for, that feeling to kind of start to build where you understand that this is a practice that you're good at. This is a practice that you are even meant to be doing because of everyone wanting it and everyone understanding that something or can facilitate something that they're asking for. And so even though it might seem to others that, okay, online course, maybe not so like prestigious, it's not a deep story, but the truth of the matter is it's something where you did your due diligence and then allowed your capability and your intuition and following through with different like feelings and maybe this works and maybe this works.
It's so intuitive for me.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I think the more that I have recognized that when I'm just, and I think this is great advice for anybody, but just really owning my authenticity, and I let that, like I said, come through me versus there's no formula. I never have a plan when I go into a sound healing. I mean, like I have a general structure that it typically follows, but it honestly shows up differently every single time. I think it's dependent on who's in the room. It's dependent on the environment, the energies. I'm a huge nerd for astrology and how the energies of the collective are impacting us.
Yeah,
I love to
absolutely.
do sound healings in conjunction with full moons, new moons, embracing some of these planetary cycles, any of that
Absolutely.
stuff. I think it adds power to it. But yeah, to what you were saying about, looking where the opportunities come to you. Another thing I'm a nerd for, human design. I don't know if you guys know human design.
Oh, yeah.
Do you? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I'm a generator, which is a lot of people are
Same.
generators. Yeah, it's the most popular one. But your best strategy in life is to respond.
Right.
Right. So yes, you have this ability to put so much energy out into the world as a generator, but you also have to respond to what comes to you. And the more
Right.
that I've leaned into that, I've just watched my life like change in so many ways. There's a few codes I haven't cracked yet, but
Yeah.
I'll get there.
I think that's some of the fun of it. We're in these places and times, and it's so interesting to me because I grew up a little bit religious or a lot of it religious. I was adopted into it, a very different background from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it led me into a lot of different studies of different religious churches, things like that, and a lot of different belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
And there was oftentimes this congruency that I found with a lot of things, and there's these patterns that exist. And so there was a while there that like I understood that astrology was a thing, but I was like, nah, it's nothing. But when I studied physics, and when you really look at all of these different phenomenon that are not around like your perception, so you don't understand it, like you don't see an electromagnetic field. You can see evidence of it
Right.
with like magnet, but like the planets are huge, gravitational, electromagnetic, and they all vary in different like
Mm-hmm.
ways. And you get this beautiful sequence when you start to kind of look at that, where the sun we're not just orbiting around the sun, we're also orbiting in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it's this really cool like three-dimensional spiral, and there's energies that are converging at different times where you're
Yeah.
getting these weird, convergences of like different fields and different like phenomenon that are going on. So it kind of made me relook at astrology as, something that really takes a look at patterns,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what those
It's all
patterns lean
geometry,
towards.
actually.
And I'm a huge nerd
Yeah.
for sacred geometry.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah.
once I started looking at that, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
all of
It's
that's
magical.
all of
Yeah.
that's like predictable. Like you do enough geometry and you find different convergences,
Yeah.
and that is just on an impersonal level too.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these new things with the human design and different like emotion code, and I studied a
I'm
lot of
trained in
these.
that too, actually.
Really?
Motion code and body
Oh,
code. Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's really cool. I recently just got introduced to that.
Yeah.
I studied a lot of personality tests, like different things like that, of categorizing and understanding an internal.
I love anything that helps me understand myself or another human better.
Right.
Because and they're not necessarily locked in stone, right? Like just because your astrological chart says whatever, you still have some free will there.
Oh yeah.
But there's so much that I feel like when I looked at my human design chart, the biggest gift it gave me was permission to truly be myself, because there's a lot of ways where I'm different than my family, or I'm an oddball in a lot
Yeah.
of ways. And then when I looked at my human design, I'm like, oh, I'm not broken. That's just how I'm made.
Yeah.
So how do I use that to my advantage rather than see it as a weakness?
Yeah. I think that's so powerful when you have this, whatever it is, whatever the experience is for you, the gene keys and everything, or your human design. If you're looking at something and it kind of gives you this insight for habits or patterns that you may not have been aware, that's where like being able to feel authentic in your own experience. I'm saying that as an oddball myself. I am very strange. Most of my family thinks I'm a weirdo and a little nuts, and most of my friends, that's what they appreciate about me, is the fact that I don't do things like other people do it. And that's one of the best gifts that I've ever been given is, through school, probably terrible because it did make me popular. It wasn't things that I could get behind because
Built character.
I didn't operate the same way.
Yeah.
But figuring out, like, I had some experiences where I realized, like, the mold that I was consistently pressuring myself to be based on everyone else's expectations was something that, like, freed me because that mold wasn't real. It was an idea of
Yeah.
everyone's
It's all the
idea
stuff
of
you've
me.
been conditioned into
Yeah,
and domesticated toward, right? Like that
right.
there's especially probably being adopted. You
Yeah,
tried to be molded into something that isn't necessarily true to who you are, but I think that's true of every single one of us.
yeah.
And it's all well intentioned, right? The people
Well,
that were raising
we're
you,
all
the
trying to do
people,
our best.
yeah, they have your best they have their best intentions in mind. They're looking out for you,
Mhm.
but for the most part, a lot of us get indoctrinated into things that are against what we would inherently want
Feel.
or do or be,
Yeah,
So I think that's where also I love how the practice of yoga can help us unravel some of that and help us be a little more comfortable with these things within ourselves that
right.
maybe we were taught to not like or that we should hide or change or shy away from, right? But then
Oh,
you
yeah.
were saying like your friends love that about you because you've now found the good friends,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like when you can really be totally yourself, then you give everybody else around you permission to do the same,
Right.
and then they're going to love you for that,
And
you know?
it's something that's transformative, and then also, like, the essence of, like, valuing my time, valuing my
Mhm.
experience. Not just that I can be myself, but that I value and love myself.
And
You
that's
know
how you're going to be the best version of you to put all the good stuff out into the world,
exactly.
right?
That's the best way to show up, and how you show up is you.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily what your past is or what you think it is, like your skill set. And most of it's just you and how you
Yeah.
show up every day.
Mhm.
And when I kind of figured that out and kind of put some boundaries up in my life, changed who was my friend with who I spent my time with, who I
Mhm.
shared my ideas with, that's where I started to feel a lot more alignment with that.
Yeah.
And so,
And then
yeah.
doors open,
Oh, yeah.
opportunities come to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then we find ourselves in places like this
Exactly.
where we get to
Exactly.
experience, kind of chat and kind of unravel some of these things with other people.
Yeah.
So,
Which is also what I love about what you guys are doing with New
yeah.
Life, where you're helping to foster that community, but also giving people some tools to maybe break free from some of these paradigms that are actually keeping us sick,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a client that I work with. It's called the Anshara Institute, and they
Mhm.
use a lot of different modalities. It's like a quantum healing thing, and they talk a lot about how wordology is your biology. And
Okay.
so the word dis-ease
Yeah.
is like you're not at ease.
Mhm.
There's stuff within your experience and stuff that you're holding, energy that you're holding. And if anyone who's been to, like, a massage therapist understands that sometimes you're literally seizing your muscle,
Yeah.
and it's like an experience, and we're like, why is that happening? Like, I need to get that out. And it's like, yeah, sometimes emotions can be tied into that. Sometimes personal
Yes.
traumas, certain ways of doing things, we carry our body in certain ways.
We carry everything in our body. I mean, this is what we talked
Yeah,
about the emotion code just for a second there. That is one of the things where it's working on releasing the trapped emotions, and
yeah,
everything that we experience gets logged. And we if it's a big deep thing or something we experience repeatedly over and over, it can create that dis-ease where it actually creates distortions in our energy fields, and that's where sometimes we have an injury
yeah.
or it'll show up in the musculature.
Or some sort of chronic illness where it's,
If you leave it long enough, yeah, that's often where it goes.
yeah.
I truly believe that
I
the internal environment that we create, it really has an impact on what is expressed through our physical being.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a lot of ways that I found a lot of evidence for that,
Mhm.
where there's ways that we are, by environment, by habits, by experience, these things culminate
Mhm.
into different ways that we're responding to the world around us.
Right.
And then our bodies adapt. They're
Yeah.
ever adapting. There's so many different ways that we're consistently changing things, doing things,
Mhm.
and our cells are renewing and our bodies are making gains or efforts towards that. It's like
Yeah.
going to the gym. It's something as simple as stressing the muscles out, tearing the fibers a little bit. Then the next day, they heal back a little bit stronger.
Mhm.
So it's always going to take what you do and do its best to adapt to what's going on. And so the
Yeah.
ways that we can kind of clear a lot of what's going on, change how much information, how much like we're going through. If we can find healthier ways to do it or allow it to move through us instead of holding on to it, there's less that our bodies have to really adapt to, and it can just be in the best ways possible.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. You're kind of leading me right into some of the stuff I love about sound healing,
yeah,
actually, because I often will tell people, especially when they come and they're new and they're like, I don't really know what I'm getting into here. I'm like, don't worry about it. This is the easiest thing you'll ever do to
yeah,
take care of your health, to take care of you, because you, as the participant, you literally just lay there. You just get comfortable. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do a darn other thing. You might want to breathe, but
yeah,
you're going to do that naturally anyway. But it works to, one, help release some of that stuckness, that stuff that we kind of keep stuck in our mind, stuck in our spirit, stuck in our physical bodies. It'll move some of that energy. But our bodies really want to be in homeostasis. They want to be aligned with nature. And like you're saying, we have so much coming at us. And this,
yeah,
just all these radio waves and frequencies and, anger from other people. And we live in a society that's very high energy.
yeah,
So we have to give ourselves those chances to reset and to calm the nervous system. And the body it's so smart. Like, this is
yeah.
the greatest technology on this planet.
Oh my gosh, the
And we have
complexity.
forgotten that in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
but there's so much out there now that can help us find
yeah,
that again. And, there's so many different ways you can get there, and not everything resonates with every person, and that's fine. But I would encourage people, just go check out sound healing is a great place to start, because even if you are unhealthy, not physically fit, like you feel like you don't belong in that space, yes, you do.
right.
And it will do nothing but good things for you.
No, I definitely feel that. When I first was introduced to like sound bowls and sound healing, there was like an interesting experience that I had where I actually kind of got to play. Like, I knew of sound bowls. I had an experienced class. Had people play them every now and again around me in like some social scenarios. And then there was a time where I was doing a small retreat and I ended up going up to Flagstaff, and the place that we had rented had this sound bowl. And for about 5 hours, I was playing that sound bowl
Wow.
because I just enjoyed the vibration I would feel in my hand. I would enjoy what it was making me feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to have this like kind of a deeper understanding of like the vibration as it's doing like its thing. The sound bowls like link to different vibrations. And from what I know of like science and physics is like every element has a vibration.
Every
So
single thing, even like these
yeah,
supposedly solid items, are
everything's
vibrating.
vibrating in a certain state. And so like what we're doing with sound is like it's like washing
It
with
is. It
vibration.
really is.
So
It's why we call it a sound bath.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is.
Yeah.
It's like washing some of that away, clearing it out. And I've had people that'll come in and they'll be like, I can't meditate. Like it can be hard to sit quiet in that stiff position.
Oh, and
This
especially if
just
you've had the
helps.
habit
Oh
of
gosh, when you're
everyday
a
society,
go person.
gotta hustle, you gotta
Yeah.
get this.
And the people that come and they're like, oh my God, I can't sit still for an hour. I'm like, just give it a minute. And those are the people that it'll take them to sometimes you can have like a psychedelic experience without psychedelics, just from being around sound frequencies and just, really dropping into that space.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's powerful. I mean, I'm biased, but
Well, no, I totally understand. There's a reason why like your passion, your like journey brought you to something, and with something you hold so much alignment for. You are an advocate for it. So like it's kind of your job to be biased, because there's a lot of ways that because of your journey, all of these different ways that people can experience that, and someone who just doesn't know about it can easily jump in, and you can help guide that. And that's one of the things I find most exciting is like people have experience, and like people call it anecdotal at times, but that's
I don't
the
care.
best
Anecdotal
way.
works,
Well,
right?
we all live in anecdotal like ways.
Right.
So we're all experiencing things. And if we can find like ways that it works across the board, and like, some people might have an experience where they jump in and have this psychedelic experience. I've had something similar.
Yeah.
And it would never like occur to you, but that's the cool part is your journey is healing, and then how far you're moving or going. It's just like how well you can tune in
Yeah.
and how well like your body's receiving that. And
Right.
it's super
Right.
cool that it's so individual.
It is. It is. And there's like zero downsides to
No.
that. There's no bad side effects. I've
Right.
had occasionally people say, I got like a little bit nauseous or something after a sound healing. I'm like, well, you got some, can I swear?
Yeah.
You got some shit you got to let go of.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So let it out and come
Mhm.
back and you'll probably feel better.
So we just shook some shit inside you,
Yeah,
now you know about
exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you know it's there. You can let it go. But yeah, I think there's, and it's just such a good compliment to anything else that you're doing, right? Like I
Yeah.
know if you have, any sort of physical practice, this will help with that. If you are, it's good complementary to a massage. It's great for, even if you are in traditional therapy or if you are, taking some sort of medication because you need to, it's not going to interact poorly with that. It's going to only help in a good way. There's plenty of science out there. There's studies that have shown that sound can be used to blast cancer cells and it doesn't damage the healthy cells.
Yeah.
Those studies don't get so widely published because they don't make money for big pharma, but we'll leave that for another.
Yeah, there's different ways that like a lot of people hold skepticism within these ideas because we are in a way really looking at the material world for a lot of the answers.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been really impressed with is there's a lot of ways that like in, science, like they're now finding like scientific proof of something called quantum resonance, where you have resonant vibrations that move, but on a quantum level. And so there's a lot of ways that things that we don't necessarily think are a thing because, we throw a ball down a hill, it rolls, like we have a traditional understanding of like our world around us. But there's a lot of things that are happening that we can't really perceive, but there are interactions.
Yeah.
And so there's different things I've read about studies where they used like, sound waves that were destructive and constructive to put it to a certain frequency to help reduce certain types of disease or illness where the cells are
Have you seen
in
the
trouble.
tests that they've done on apples and stuff?
Where it literally can help create stuff.
Yeah, you'll either like the same apple cut in half
Mhm.
and then they make a test that, either they play frequency music or like rage metal or just, speak kind words, speak hateful words, and the apple responds.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really interesting too because it's like there's so much water molecules in a lot of these things, and sound and water have this really beautiful relationship. And it's something that like
Which is why we respond to it too, because we're what percentage water? I forget what that stat is.
It's like 76 or
yeah,
something like that.
we're mostly water.
Yeah. So we have a lot of water in us. And so like when we're hearing, and this is the cool thing for me, is when we listen to sound bowls, or if you have that experience, you begin to understand like, all right, my body calms down with this. So for me personally, I use sound bowls. There's a couple people on YouTube that I consistently use their stuff. They'll just sit and play for 3 hours. If I'm working, if I'm studying, if I'm trying to do something that requires concentration, there's all these different ways that like that helps calm my nerves because my body's able to put something on. It's like everyone knows that when you listen to Beethoven, when you're young or studying, it can help you focus or make you smarter because of the complexity of everything that it was. And some of that Baroque music, sound does that on an emotional level for me. And then also helps like get my biology into a place where it's like the focus that I'm applying towards a project. I'm sitting on the computer and in the back, I have sound bowls going off or healing frequencies moving. And it just affects my physiology in a calming way.
I play those frequency things a lot when I'm working too. And sometimes I have tons of plants around my house. So oftentimes if I'm leaving for the day, I put those on for my plants because I'm a nerd. But I do think they respond. They that's like further proof to me because I'm like, oh, I'll see like they look a little sad. I haven't done that in like a couple of weeks. And then play some music for them and they'll like perk up.
Obviously, they're not dancing like Groot or Baby Groot, but there are ways that like the sound affects the water in the plant. And then if it's a more constructive vibration, then it's building with it. Yeah. And that's where like if we look at the sounds that we just exist around, like, in our average day to day, we wake up, we might be listening to music that's on the radio. We might
Even
go
all the
to
ambient sounds, you're never in silence.
yeah, and there's so many ways where like like some sounds really work with us and some sounds really work against us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, if over long periods when you have these different like frequencies coming at you all the time, like it can suck. And we know that when we're sitting and trying to sleep and construction's, two
Yeah.
streets over and we just hate it because it's all this loud banging and disruptive sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting because like when we give that awareness, suddenly we start realizing like what sounds am I around? What sounds actually make me feel good? What sounds are pulling me into different places?
Yeah.
So I think that's very beautiful and a really cool awareness.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
like sharing that with people as much as I can because the evidence of what we know actually happens, and then the personal experience that you have are so congruent
Right.
when you give it some awareness.
Yeah.
And it's like it's easy to understand that of course sounds like these frequencies are doing things, and as you experience these positive effects, there's science out there that shows all of these different ways that we know it's doing stuff. So then it's another opportunity for people to really tune in and be like, okay, in my 24-hour period, I'm doing X, Y, Z and sleeping X amount of time. What kind of sounds am I going to interact with?
Mm-hmm.
Because then it's, you have more of a choice where
Yeah.
maybe the energy that you bring is, hey, I want to go to the club. I want to dance. I want to be in that vivacious energy. Sometimes it's, I really want to be by myself
Gotta
with some
chill.
plants
Yeah.
next to me, listening to some
Yeah.
frequencies because that's what like will feel
Yeah.
good.
I also want to kind of just tap on sound healing in particular. It doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with your ears as well. So I've had people that have come that are hard of hearing, and they
Yeah.
actually will take their hearing aids out because the actually hearing aids will pick up some of those high frequencies in a painful way for people.
Right.
But because it's vibrational frequencies, whether or not you can hear it, you're getting all of that benefit.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's great to find it on YouTube and all of that too. That's good. That's wonderful. And I think that also will still calm your nervous system. But I will say, if you can get out and experience in person, it's even more powerful.
And that's an interesting thing and an interesting perspective that you brought up there, because there is an increased effect. Like when I was able to hear you play and I was right next to the bowls, you feel the large
Literally
vibrations.
feel it. Yeah.
And when I'm just listening to it, it doesn't have that same
It's not the same
effect. I
Yeah.
do feel like calmness and different things,
Yeah.
but actually feeling the vibration like physically. And obviously I have ears, so I've always been more focused on
Yeah.
the sound of it. That is fascinating. Yeah, because it's just like people, I've met people who are hearing impaired and they'll still go to like a concert
Yeah.
and stand in front of a speaker because they can
You
feel
can feel
the
it.
music.
Yeah. And you feel that vibration, that resonance.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And then the set of bowls that I most often will use is it's aligned to the chakra system. So
Right.
for anybody who doesn't know, energy centers that run up essentially the midline of our body. There's a few different schools of thought and how they relate. That doesn't matter. But you can actually feel, at least most people can feel, like when you're playing the root chakra, it almost does like resonate in your root. Or if you're like playing the third eye, you'll feel it in your head.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody feels that correlation, but I think that's where, to me, it just like I can feel that so well, and it's like so soothing.
Right.
Because I actually do. I have tuning forks. I do my morning meditations, and I like do a little tune. I'm like super nerd with it, but like kind of clear my own energy field, or like different frequencies if you're dealing with like little emotional heaviness, or if you're like dealing with a physical pain, you can have the fork near those areas that are hurting. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Just wish everybody knew it's so powerful and has it really has no downsides, right? Like there's not like, when we take a pill because we have some symptom, there's inevitably something, because this system we have nothing operates in a vacuum.
No, everything is
It's
connected
all
to
interrelated. So you can't change one thing without there being a cascade to something else.
Right.
Sound, to me, it only does good.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what it's touching per se. It's putting you in proper alignment. It's letting stuff that doesn't need to be there go, and realigning you to your
Yeah.
natural state of health.
I love sound so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there is this area of science that like there's so much room to really discover the like the mechanics of relationship between vibration and sound
Yeah.
and the different ways that we can
I would say
utilize things.
rediscover. There's many ancient cultures that have known this all
Well,
along.
I would say the same. I would say the
Yeah.
same. And it seems like one thing I ended up telling my sister, I was, going through and learning about sacred geometry and doing all this stuff. And I was visiting my sister, and I walked in the door and was talking about something. And I was like, I had to run upstairs, and this thought just kept bugging me. And I was like, there's no like, there's no science of, there's no laws of vibration. Like, there's so much stuff about laws of vibration, and there's so many innate like effects from resonance or that kind of wave. And
Yeah.
so like we look at a lot of things and we have math around it, but I feel like there's so many like material sciences and different things where we haven't really looked at that. And now we're starting to look at, okay, quantum resonance. Now we're starting to look at acoustic levitation. That was a cool thing. And right now it can be done by using sound waves that converge, and it can hold up something small.
Yeah.
And it's like, stories of old and ancient times say that that's how they, built some of these structures. They were able to just sing up the stones and push it. And I'm like, well, it's real, but to what level, can we like look at this? Because there may be an entire part of like science and the way we approach the world that has not yet been implemented, where we could see a variety of different technologies become more
think
in
that's
tune.
all coming. There's so many smart people that are gonna. I'm not that person, but somebody's gonna figure that stuff out.
Well, and I feel like it's such a cool way to to let our curiosity like run wild. Is if we can find some of these cool little things, we can re-look at most of what we have in the world and just see if we can make it better. Like, what ways could we do this? Like, you might
if you think about it, did we ever think we were going to have this little device in our hand that could instantly send a message to anybody on the planet?
No.
Right? And now we just take that for granted.
I know. It's amazing.
So what we are capable of creating as humans is there's nothing that's impossible.
Yeah, it's awe-inspiring.
And when we can harness the beauty of nature to really do more good things.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a tattoo right here that says love has already won. And this is like kind of my mission of like that the good side's gonna win. Like we're all gonna figure out that when we can use all our powers for good, the world will be a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah. And I feel like that war is internal, with everybody.
For a lot of people, yeah.
Because I feel like the good and the bad is something that we get caught in sometimes, but everything is, and there are just ways that it resonates or it's disresonant. So whether it destroys or creates and has harmony or, a type of dissonance or, disconnection, those are really the only two options. And so really it's about people understanding, at least in my experience, how the dark or the evil or all of these things we push towards certain ideas, how it shows up within our own experience, how it's showing up internally, because that's then what we give out to the world. There's so many different ways that when we can find balance and learn to love, and that's mostly
instead
inward.
of operating from fear.
Yeah. And if you can love yourself and trust yourself enough, then you can begin to see how that shows up in other people, where they're at. And that's where like the more people are around it, it's like a frequency. The more people that are around you doing it, the more you're aware of it, the more it's spreading. So it's like a positive virus.
I was just going to say the exact same thing.
Of sorts.
It's contagious. Yeah. Positive virus. Like, yeah.
I feel like more people are turning towards this internal, more thought-provoked, more intentional kind of health, and just figuring out how to be. And I feel like as we continue to progress in this, it's already hit a tipping point where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
I feel
Just
like it's
how
one of the
quick.
favors COVID gave us is people, because I just noticed a shift during that time or coming out of that time with much more people being open to Reiki and yoga even. I mean, yoga's always been popular, but I think popular from a physical exercise
Yeah, like
standpoint.
an exercise
Yeah, but
standpoint.
I think people started coming more because for a lot of people, that whole experience was so inexplicable.
Yeah,
Like, what the hell is going on? And so we had to say maybe there's another way. Maybe there's something
right.
more here. And people started embracing a lot of these alternative therapies in ways I was not seeing before that.
Yeah.
Here for it. I love it. I mean, just the variety of people I've had coming into sound healing, and for whatever reason, I typically used to get more women in there than men. And
Hmm.
like I've had men come in, and I had this one guy that was dragged in by his daughter, and it was so funny because he just looked like, the F am I doing here? And I pass out oracle cards, and he's like, no, I don't want your oracle card. He was just kind of like in there with attitude, no clue what he was getting into. And by the end of it, he sat up and he was like, I don't know what just happened. And then the next time he came back and brought 4 other men with him.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's how
all
you
people
know.
from like a men's group that he was part of. And I was
Yeah.
like, gotcha.
Yeah, that's how you know it's really like
Yeah.
it really has something
Yeah.
that, is moving, because you get someone who's not your typical client that most people have seen within that.
Yeah.
And it works so well that he's like, all right, guys, you're going to
Yeah.
come with me.
Yeah.
Like, I can just imagine what that conversation was.
Yeah,
It's like,
they all loved it though.
we're going to go listen to some bowls. And
Yeah.
they're like, what?
They lay on the floor. They were like,
Trust me,
they
bro.
all walked in like, I don't know. He said we had to come. And I was like, I'm just so glad
Yeah.
you're here.
It's
It
like,
was,
yeah, chill out,
Yeah.
relax.
Yeah,
No,
it
I
was
think
awesome.
I think it's something that's beautiful for that experience. Cause I know a bunch of dudes that, I don't do any of that. Like, that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's silly, like
Yeah, we're
weird
changing that
stuff.
paradigm.
And I'm
though.
like,
Yeah.
now it's starting to see like, it's, oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
I do it. Like, I have no problem with it. Like, I
Yeah.
could tell you all about it. And they're
Yeah.
like, wait, is that really a thing? Like,
Yeah.
suddenly the tunes change and they're like,
I love
well,
it. Yeah.
actually, like, maybe I will go to that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, come on.
It's all right. You can put your hood up while you're walking in, but
Yeah. No, it's funny to me. I have a bunch of brothers, and they were all older, so it was kind of like the mentality. And I always kind of found it a little bit strange, but I get it. But yeah, they would walk out with their chest puffed out.
Yeah.
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 And no, they're brilliant guys now, and even kind of talking to them later in life, their awareness, their
Yeah.
capability for understanding themselves, understanding kind of the world around them, and taking a softer approach to things has increased. So
Yeah.
it was something I was really surprised about, and I was actually really happy about. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to stay the same forever, but
Hey,
we're all evolving.
everybody's capable of change. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
something that's beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, awesome. Is there any other topics you kind of wanted to talk about? I know you touched on a lot of really deep and amazing things.
I think we covered a lot of it. I'm just so excited to have met you guys, to be part of this, and part of any movement that's helping to just spread the good in our community. And, the more of us that are out here doing this, like we said, it's contagious.
Yeah.
So the more people that we expose, then they tell a friend and they tell a friend, and maybe one day love will have won.
Oh yeah, it already has.
It already
We
has.
just have to wait for it to unfold with everyone.
Yes,
So.
exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Deb, for
Thank you.
coming in and sharing your expertise. You have a wide and deep knowledge that's related, and I like that it's expressed through a variety of different modalities that you practice.
Thank you.
But it kind of shows up just even in speaking with you. So this has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure everyone else is gonna enjoy kind of getting to know you and getting to know what New Life and New Life Podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing in different people who really understand things.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks for having me.
absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
I appreciate it, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and we're signing off.
Yay. You're going to leave your little yay in the background.